RC drivers, this new Traxxas release completely shocked me when it arrived here in the workshop, a Slash Mudboss. It's an Eastern dirt modified oval car, and I'm actually really excited about it because when I got into RC, I ran a lot of dirt oval. It requires a lot of precision driving to get around an oval fast, and it's really fun. The Mudboss class that was developed by Salvus Racing is actually expanding. And from what I heard, hobby shops were looking for an easier solution to get people into that racing class, and Traxxas listened and created this for racers. Now, this actually isn't a drop-in for the organized racing that is occurring right now, but I think once people see it, a class will develop specifically for it. Now, Traxxas didn't just go and throw a dirt oval body on here. There are a lot of exciting changes to the platform that you guys need to see. So coming up in this video, I'll go over the body, I'll go over the changes to the suspension, show you the chassis, tell you what you need to know to get it running, and then we're gonna hit the dirt oval. And don't think that this car is just limited to dirt ovals. So let's start off by taking a look at the Eastern Dirt modified body. This thing looks killer with the wild graphics that they have on it. They've been using a lot of wild graphics on their vehicles lately. This looks really cool. It's actually available in 5 different colors, and the shock bodies actually correspond with some of the main colors on it. So if you get one with orange, you get the orange shocks. If you get the pink version, which is really sick looking, you get pink shocks. This one here has blue shocks, and there's green and red as well. So you get that custom look right out of the gate, and the body itself, it looks awesome. It's actually a 2-piece body in terms of Lexan. There's some molded components as well that I'm going to show you, but just starting off at the front, you got the large wedge up front with this little scoop around the outside to help direct air. You got the air cleaner on top. You got the large side panels and openings right behind the wheels to allow the air to flow through the body, but it's got the right Eastern dirt modified shape to it, the Mudboss style shape. What's also good about it is all the surface panels on here are just large flat panels. So if there's guys out there that are like, hey, I want to go and use some wraps on this, I'm sure we're going to see a lot because it's going to be really easy to apply, no complex corners or anything like that. Then in the back here, they've got this large deck spoiler. This is actually molded with the Traxxas logo on there, and it flares up just a little bit from the rear deck. But you can see the back of it totally wide open, so you get that airflow through it. And then if you look on the inside, you'll see a cage around the driver. The driver figure is molded in Lexan. There's some decals for the dashboard, for his seatbelt, for his visor and everything. But I really like this inner cage that they have. It adds some support to it. The roof panel isn't going to flex on you. You can see they've got countersunk washers on there just to help firm everything up. And the body itself seems pretty solid. They've got some bracing underneath. And as you can see, no body clips. They use their clipless system. So here's your front clip panels, which actually look like vents. And then there's some in the rear as well. Now, just checking this thing out, I noticed that the panel's really close to the rear tire, and then that might get caught up in there. So you might have to do a little trimming, or what you could do is actually add some bracing, I think, to the back just to help support that and just prevent this rear panel from fluttering, or if you get bumped from the rear. That's the only thing I noticed about the body that you may want to look out for. But watch this. Let's just go pop the body off. Really easy to do. They've got a new body mounting setup in the front. Once you pull all 4 inner clips, you just pop the body up, and there is that under bracing. You can see the second panel there, but really good looking Mudboss or Eastern Dirt modified style body. Now we can take a look at the chassis itself, and as I mentioned earlier, there are a number of changes on this that you'll probably want to check out, even if you're not into Eastern Dirt mods. If you've got a Slash or a Rustler or a Stampede, definitely going to want to watch this full video. Let's start off with the front bumper. It's got the tube style bumper design in the front, a lot of bracing and just a big flat plate in the center, and then you've got more bracing going up over to the top of the chassis, bolts to the bulkhead with 4 screws underneath. That thing looks pretty solid for some rough racing. Then let me get into the body mount. So the front body mount is new. It's a bit narrower to fit the body, and it's actually got the center bracing post as well, so you're not gonna get any flex from the top of the body. And it actually also helps firm up the shock towers. Then they got their rear body mount. I think that's the same as the Slash. And then let me just show you the rear bumper. It's got the center brace plate here. I guess that just makes it a bit more rigid if you get hit from the rear. And then the chassis itself is the low center of gravity chassis. So for regular Mudboss racing, they use the high center of gravity chassis. This one's a bit different. And because of that, I'm guessing that this is going to be in a class of its own when you're going out racing, because the Mudboss class is already established. There's a bunch of cars built out there for it, and this doesn't exactly fall into the rule set. So it would probably be cool if somebody, or if the Traxxas came out with a Mudboss spec class, and you just run these cars stock out of the box, and people could get into racing successfully with a car that's going to work really well. Obviously a low CG chassis is going to work well. Same stuff that we've seen before. I like that they have it in the gray composite, same battery mounting strap setup, same lower front plate. But if you look inside, you can see that they have a new steering assembly in there. So it's no longer those thin white bell cranks. Now they have the heavy duty stuff like we've seen on the Slash 4x4 or the Rustler 4x4. It's got a servo saver on the other side here. They got a new servo arm for it. So they've gone and braced that up. And now we got to get into the suspension, where they've got some new parts. So in the center, the bulkhead has been revised. It's been years. I mean, I don't think it's actually ever been revised, but it's finally been revised, and there's just some extra bracing, extra support around here, so you won't have any bulkhead problems. And then off the bulkhead, you see they have their HD arms in the black composite. They've got the fiberglass pin brace here, so that's all bulked up. And then on the outside, they have new heavy-duty caster blocks and steering knuckles, so you don't have to go and upgrade those anymore, like let's say with some RPM stuff or even the aluminum stuff. This stuff looks pretty heavy-duty. I like that they have it in the gray composite, so it kind of matches the chassis, gives it that two-tone look. They still have the screw pins everywhere. I kind of wish they got rid of the screw pins, went with maybe an E-clip pin or even a screw pin with a nut on the end of it. The front steering knuckles supports the axle just like before, ball bearings on the inside of that. And then you can see they've got adjustable tie rods throughout. So since this is a racing style car, you'll be able to go and adjust your camber, your toe, and then the shocks. Check this out, guys. Right from the factory, GTR shocks. They're PTFE coated. Obviously, I've got the blue anodized version. They got the nitride coated shock shafts. They even have screws on the lower spring perch. These are composite shock caps. However, these are much stronger than the ones that come on the standard bore shocks that we've been getting on the Traxxas vehicles. Blue springs on here. I'm not sure about the shock weight oil. I'm going to guess it's about 30, but the blue springs are pretty firm. In fact, when I took the wheel off of this thing, the chassis didn't even drop down to the ground. It was just hovering there. So they got stiff springs on this for dirt oval use, which is what you're going to want. And then in the rear, they've got the GTR shocks again with the same shock shafts. The spring perches are retained, the blue springs on it. They also have the heavy duty arms in the rear and new outer hub carriers. Again, dual shear points on that, much heavier duty than the previous versions. Really like that they bulk this up. And since we're seeing new suspension components on here, my guess is we're going to see these components get carried over onto some of their other two-wheel drive vehicles, like the Rustler, the Stampede, I guess the regular Slash as well. So my guess is we're going to see that pretty soon from Traxxas. I don't know about the shocks, but I'm guessing we'll definitely see those new outer composite pieces, the hub carriers, steering knuckles, and so on. Now we'll go on to the drivetrain, and it's got the Magnum 272R in here. So that means it's got a sealed differential in there that you could go and put oils in, so you could adjust the differential action, metal gears on the inside of the transmission, sealed ball bearings throughout this entire thing, and then the Revo spec slipper clutch underneath the gear cover there that is adjustable, aluminum motor plate, and then they even have a metal pinion gear with the pinion mesh plate between the motor, so your pinion mesh is perfect. Newbies to racing, or just newbies to the car, won't have to worry about setting gear mesh. And then this is also a really welcome upgrade. They now have the heavy-duty drive shafts on this model. Take a look at the new wheels and tires that Traxxas developed for the car. These are licensed Hoosier tires. It's an angle block style tread, and these should work well on dirt ovals and even asphalt. It's got a pretty firm insert on the inside for a Traxxas tire, and then they're pre-glued from the factory to these gunmetal racing style wheels. They got the smaller outside face and the larger inner offset, so it's got lots of clearance in the turns. And just just like the Slash, it does have a different offset in the front than it does in the rear. Then into the electronics, it's got the 2075 servo. That is a waterproof servo. And then you've got your BL2S system. The cool thing with this system is, you can't tamper with the motor. So it's got to offer for, closer racing. They've got their little wiring harness here that's just nicely tucked away. They've got the ID plug, so you just got to get an ID battery or ID equipped battery to go along with it. TQ receiver in the water resistant receiver box. They give you the TQ radio system, and then also in the box you're going to find a bunch of decals so you can go throw it on the body. You can pick out your number, and they give you actually 2 sheets of that. They give you some basic tools, a foam insert for the battery tray in case you get a different size battery, and of course your instruction manuals.
Here we go, guys. A little dirt oval action up at RC Excitement with the Mudboss. They're nice enough to pull the tarps off the track for me. And here we go. Love the way the tires squeal in the corners. It's been a while since, it's been a long time since I've driven dirt oval. Trying to get the hang of it again. What I like about this is it's pretty well planted right out of the box. It's not spinning out too much in the corners unless you really force it. Whoa, like that. I think drivers are definitely going to be able to get this around the track without a problem, and then just learn how to drive it faster and faster. I think it's powered perfectly for this track here. I already went and trimmed the rear body panels that I showed you guys in the studio. They were getting caught up in the tires, so that's something I definitely recommend doing right out of the box. The other thing I'm noticing is the servo saver seems to be a little bit loose too. You can see the front wheels just kind of bobbing around through the corner. Kind of just having, I'm all over the place, but I'm having fun doing it. Trying to put together a few good laps here. Yeah. Traxxas definitely built this one right. This is going to be perfect for anybody that wants to get into dirt oval racing. I mean, anybody. All right, guys, the dirt oval action was good. Now let's see how fast this thing goes out of the box. So we'll get the GNSS going here, and here we go. That thing rips off the line. Definitely hit top speed there. We'll just rip it on the way back. That's quick. And 30 miles an hour out of the box. And it says you get it 35 with switching up the gearing. So 30 miles an hour is good for me. All right, guys, while we're here, let's see how it does on the asphalt. Just got to do this little oval section in the center of the parking lot. And just like the dirt, this thing's got some push to it, which I like. For somebody getting into it, I'd much rather have it push. You could dial that in rather than the thing just spinning out all the time. But this thing, I could see these being a lot of fun on asphalt as well. You could definitely just get together with some buddies and rip it around a parking lot, have some fun racing. I guess we could do right-hand turns too, because this thing's a Slash, right? When it comes down to it.
So I think Traxxas made a legitimate race car for dirt ovals. I know it doesn't fit directly into the standard rules of a Mudboss class, but talking to Dale, who's one of the track operators up where I was running, he said it would, be able to be run in their big block class. But I have to imagine that once tracks see this, they're going to add the class to the program. I think it's absolutely got to get people into dirt oval racing, and I think they'll expand the classes from there. But this is a lot of fun to drive. The setup on it, I think, is perfect out of the box. As I mentioned, the suspension is stiff, and because of that, the car understeers in the corner. And just remembering back to my days of oval racing, when you spin out in the corners, that is just no fun, and it turns a lot of people off. But because of the understeer, drivers will be able to get this around the track, I think, with ease, with any skill level. And of course, the way Traxxas has built this, it is tunable. I think they did a great job in making it very durable. They give us the adjustable tie rods, the good shocks on here, so you could go in and tune this model. I think it needs to be softened up a little bit once you start to get the feel of racing, and that will get the car dialed in more to the track, and you'll be able to hug those corners a lot tighter. I let a few of the RC Excitement guys drive it, and they all said the same thing. The car is really manageable. It's stuck to the ground. And what we liked was when the track was damp, the tires would actually squeal. And there was a little bit of a downside to that because there was front end grip. Seems like the servo saver was giving out a little bit, but that's something you probably add some shims there and just crush down on that spring a little bit if it's a problem. But looking over the car, not much to really complain about. Again, I did have to go and trim that wheel well. Just got to use some Lexan scissors for that. I did notice one of the pins is starting to back out of the rear suspension, and I harped on that earlier. I wish they would have given us some sort of screw pin with a nut at the end. And then I'm just noticing that the rear wing is kind of scratching the side dams here. So maybe they should have put a screw through the side just so that doesn't happen. So there's no flex, there's no bouncing around back there. But other than that, I mean, this is a tough, durable car. And as I showed you guys, you don't have to run it on dirt oval. If you don't have a dirt oval around you, you want to race with some buddies, go find a parking lot. It was just as much fun there to rip around in an oval. And worst case is if you do get tired of it, it's a Slash. So you go and get a couple parts, maybe the front bumper, body mounts, and you could turn it into a fun Slash off-road truck again that's going to be really durable. I think Traxxas nailed it with this one. I know it's a little specific. I think it's got a lot of potential behind it, and hopefully gets more people into dirt oval racing. It's really a fun aspect of the hobby. I'll have links for this down in the video description below.